Thursday, right? Anybody else lose track of time? Today is Thursday, right? All right. So that means that this is our Friday. This is our last live session for the week. I know you're bummed, but we do not do live sessions on Fridays. So just to remind everyone, don't want anyone showing up tomorrow. We are in chapter 7. If you have not had an opportunity to read the chapters, please remember, read chapters 1, 2, and 7 for this week. They will be part of your midterm next week. So chapters 1, 2, and 7. So we started the week off talking about your toolbox, right? And we said that part of building your career is having the right tools. And we said that we'll introduce a lot of different tools. And one tool is knowing how to write your resume. How many of us have a resume? Give me a thumbs up if you have a resume. Okay. Now, and I know, oh, good. A lot of people, great. I know a lot of people may have gotten some support from career services. Give me a thumbs up if you wrote your resume on your own. There's no gold star for it, but I just want to okay. Oh, very good. Look at all these scholars. Okay, very good. I love to see it. So if you've written a resume before, we know the general way that a resume is written. We understand that it's designed to inform employers on what our skills are. But what we may not know is that a resume really, guys, is a response to an advertisement. So what's the difference, Ms. Taylor? Every time you respond to a job advertisement, you may have to change your resume. How many people know that? All right. So you're telling me I don't just have one resume? Not really. You may have what we call a base resume, but your resume has to be adjusted to respond to the job advertisement. We all agree that you do more than what is on your resume, right? So let's say you write your resume and you're just going to make assumptions that, okay, I'm going to say, while I was working at Starbucks, I did this and this and that. When I was in the military, I did yada, yada, yada. I used to work in banking, so I did this and that. And you're just putting on there probably what was in your job description when you got hired. But the things that you put on your base job description doesn't necessarily correlate to what someone is looking for. How do you know what to put on your resume? Well, it is going to be determined by what is in that job advertisement. So does that mean I have to go back and adjust my resume based on the job advertisement? Every single time. Every single time. Unless you happen to find 2 or 3 jobs that want the exact same thing, right? So with that in mind, what we're going to discuss is the purpose of that resume, the importance of adjusting that resume to make sure you have all the keywords that you've seen in that job advertisement, associated things that you've done in your resume, and why that is so critical. And the hope is that after we're done today, you have a good sense of how to write what I like to call a strategic resume to increase your chances of getting that job interview. So what is a resume? A resume is a written document. We know that much, right? And it's designed to list out your qualifications. It includes your work experience, your education, and it gives the employer an opportunity to see, watch this, to see if your skills match what they're looking for. So you mean to tell me, Miss Taylor, they're not just going to be impressed by all this work that I have on my resume? Mm-mm. They may say, "Ooh, that's nice." But if your skills do not match what they are looking for, you are going to get that nice little letter that says, "We were very, very impressed with your resume. Unfortunately, you're not what we're looking for." So how do you ensure that you are what someone is looking for? When you see that job advertisement, whether it's on Indeed.com, ZipRecruiter, and all those different platforms, you are looking for phrases and keywords in that job advertisement that you can associate with the skills that you have, and you are going to revise your resume to ensure whatever you have done that's associated with what they want, you include in your resume. If you are in the veterinary assisting field and maybe you have not worked with animals before, but maybe you have assisted customers. Maybe you've worked in a nursing home, and this particular job says, we want you to have provided some form of care. We want you to, obviously work with patients and do front desk work. Well, I may not work with animals, but I have done front desk work. I don't have that on my resume, but I have done it. So I need to go back to my resume and adjust that job description to include that I've done some front desk work. If I'm a welder and I'm going to apply to work at an airport, maybe I haven't done work specifically with an airline and done welding on a plane or welding on whatever, but maybe I have worked in construction. And if that job description is saying we want you to have worked on multiple projects at one time, guess what? I've done that. So let me go back to when I did work in construction and include that I have worked on multiple projects. So why is this important? You want to have as many words in that job description on your resume so that when they look at your resume, it can trigger that you have these words. So what was triggering it? And I'm going to tell you in a minute, because they actually use a software. And so that's why it's so important for you to have these keywords. If I'm a welder, here's an example. Here's a job description. And it says that they want these types of essential skills. Now watch this. When you look at a job description, it's not going to be highlighted for you, is it? No, they are assuming that you are a subject matter expert. That is why we go to school to get what we call advanced degrees, because you are a subject matter expert. If anybody was ever curious as to why you get an advanced education, anything beyond high school is considered an advanced degree. It is not so you can say, "Ooh, I went to college." No, it is because you can say, "I am a subject matter expert." People expect you to be a subject matter expert if you have an advanced degree, right? So that is one of the privileges of going to college. It separates you from someone that does not have an advanced degree, and it puts you in a different bracket. Obviously, it puts you in a different bracket for pay. It puts you in a different bracket, to get other opportunities. So when you look at a job description, they are assuming they are looking, a subject matter expert is reading that job description, and which words are important. So when you look at that job description, you're going to have your mental highlighter and you're going to read the job description, right? So welders in the building, give me a quick thumbs up. I want you to tell me if we've highlighted the key words to a job, to this welding job description. Raheem, are you a welder?
Yes, I raised my hand on accident though.
Okay, that's okay. So it's okay. Y'all can just give me a thumbs up. So welders, let's look at this together. It says that the key words for welding is it wants you to be able to read and interpret blueprints and schematics to determine the specific welding requirements. Setting up and maintaining welding equipment, including selecting and installing torches. Y'all tell me if I missed anything, welders. I'm highlighting keywords, right? Things I want to make sure that I put on my job description that I think are important. One might say, well, everything on here is important. It could be, but there's certain keywords that they're looking for. Selecting the appropriate welding process, operating a manual. Welders, did I miss anything? Let me know if I should have highlighted something. Maintaining a clean and organized workspace. So when I'm looking at job descriptions on Indeed.com, I'm highlighting these keywords and I'm taking a mental note additionally to the ones that I know I have experience in. Now, I did not necessarily highlight a soft skill. Can anybody tell me what a soft skill is? Because a lot of what I highlighted were the hard skills. Somebody tell me if they see a soft skill that could be important. Anybody see it?
Working with other team members.
Absolutely. Work, that's a soft skill, right? We all agree that that is a soft skill, right? That a lot of us don't have, right? So working with other team members to watch this, to compete, watch this, complete projects efficiently and effectively. Efficiently and effectively is a scale. So let me give you a little business 101. In business, we always talk about efficiency and effectiveness. So think of it as a scale. On one side of the scale is efficiency. On the other side of the scale is effectiveness. How does it work? Doing something efficient means what? Measuring twice, cutting once. You don't want to exert too much energy, right? You want to have the right amount of energy for that task. That's being very, very efficient. Being effective means that you are completing it. You are completing it. So I don't want to cut it and then I messed it up, right? Because if I'm being efficient, I'm not putting in too much resources. And if I'm being effective, that means I got it done. So if you think of it like a balance, a scale, companies are always trying to be as efficient as possible. They don't want to hire too many people. They don't want to put in too many resources for that specific task, but they want to be effective, right? So what happens if you have too much efficiency? Somebody tell me, think of it like a scale in your head. If I have too much efficiency, what happens? The scale, what happens with the scale? It's not balanced, right? That means what? I'm not being very effective, right? If you're too efficient, which means that, and I know y'all saying, what does that mean by trying to be too efficient? Well, sometimes if you, when I say, oh, I shouldn't say too efficient. If you're not efficient enough, what could happen? You're not going to be effective, right? Because let's say I'm trying to be so efficient, and this happens in business. This actually happened in the economy right now. This is going on with AI. Think about what's happening with AI. Give me a thumbs up if you've been watching the news with AI. All right, we've all seen that drama. And what did all the companies try to do? Somebody tell me what the companies tried to do by using AI. What were they trying to accomplish? I saw a lot of thumbs. Somebody tell me, what were they trying to accomplish with AI? Why did they want to use AI? Why did companies want to use AI? Go ahead, Andrew.
Uh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Uh, to like cut and make everything like more automatic.
Yeah, they call themselves trying to be efficient, right? They're saying, okay, we
Yeah.
don't need 5 people. Watch that. We don't need 5 people. We can just use 2 people. And then the AI can do the rest. What did it work?
Mm,
You watching the news, you reading that a lot of them saying, oh man, we messed up. We got to hire these people
yeah.
back. That's because it wasn't effective. So if you try to be too efficient, that means you're cutting too much. And if you cut too much, then you can't be effective. It's like saying you're going to play sports. How many team members do you need for a football team? I don't play football, so somebody got to tell me. I don't know. How many people you need on the field for a football team? None of y'all play football? Really?
It's 11 on offense and 11 on defense.
Thank you so much. All right, so 22, right? So can I get away with 18? Man, do I really need 11? Maybe I could, I could squeeze my defense and have him paying defense and offense because he a firecracker. Would that make sense? Probably not, right? Or maybe I don't need my second leg in case my first leg is so good, I don't really need this second leg. I'm gonna save money. That's essentially what businesses said that they were gonna do. And a lot of them were not effective. A lot of them are complaining. They are mad because they fired those people and then they put the money on AI because AI is not cheap, right? So those powers that be that sold all that AI to them, they took all these people money, millions and millions of dollars. And so it's like they can't even hire the people back because they've already put the money into the AI. That's what happened. But they became very ineffective because if you're not doing more work, then you're being ineffective. So what does that mean? Now you have to put more resources back in to balance the scale. Does that make sense, guys? So in business 101 is always about the right amount of people, right amount of resources for the maximum effectiveness. So that's what business is all about, business 101. So anytime you see a company that says they want you to work with other team members to complete projects both efficiently and effectively, that means that they want you to work on the team so y'all can do the right amount of effort for the maximum effect. And that is definitely a soft skill if you think about it, right? Especially if you're in management. So why do I want these keywords on my resume? Because thanks to technology, a lot of companies use this software called automatic tracking. It's a tool that allows them to keep track of all their postings, all the applications, and all the resumes. And what do you think that software does? It searches through those resumes looking for keywords that they put in a job posting. And what do you think is going to happen if that little software system does not see those keywords? You are going to get that letter saying, thank you so much for applying for this job, but we decided to go with someone whose skills closely aligns with what we're looking for. Now, why is that an issue for you? Most times, a human has never read your resume. Because humans, unlike computers, which a lot of companies have coming to realize, we have what? We have the ability to be more discerning. Computers do not. Computers can only be as good as the algorithm that the way it's Lord have mercy, what's the word? I forgot the word. Anyway, I am about to lose my IT card. Anyway, so program, oh my goodness, the way we program it, right? So, but for a human, we can be more discerning. We can look at a resume and say, oh, but this person's job description is this. So I know if they've done that, they probably have done something else. Let me put this one to the side so we can dig a little further. Maybe we can give that person a call. That computer system is not going to do that. Now they're trying to create software to do that, guys. That's what they call agentic AI. Is like the next level AI with things like a human. That's why they're scaring everybody. But this is nowhere near there. Let me go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. We're nowhere near there yet, right? Even though whatever. Let me get past that. We'll talk about cloning and all of that. Y'all heard about that drama in the news, right? But most of these software systems, the ones that companies use are very, 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 very basic. And they don't have the sophistication to make any type of, implications. They don't have the ability to be implicit in its thinking, right? So the computer is just going to look for those keywords. If it's not there, there goes your opportunity. So essentially, you're going up against a computer system for many companies, not all companies, because smaller companies don't use it, blah, blah, blah. They can't afford it, whatever. But that is why it's so important for you to have these keywords on your resume. Does that make sense? You understand? All right. So let's get to the heart of the matter. Keep that in the back of your head. Ms. Taylor said, I need to have these keywords. And hopefully y'all take notes. This one class you might want to take a little bit of notes. I need to have these keywords, right? Now, how do I use the keywords on my resume? There are a lot of sections that you are going to include those keywords on your resume, especially if you don't have a lot of experience. Because I know some of you are already thinking, well, how does that relate to me? I don't have the experience. But what type of experience do you have? Let me see who's thinking. What type of experience may you have? You may not have one type of experience, but what other type of experience might you have? Somebody tell me.
The soft skills, the
The
personality
soft
skills.
skills. That's what I'm talking about. I love my students. Oh, y'all make me so proud when you do. Oh, you make me so proud. Very good. You may not have the technical skills, but you may have some of the soft skills. If they put it on the resume, it's simple. I mean, if they put it on a job advertisement, they want you to have it. If they say you're going to work on project teams, then let me play up as much project team stuff on my resume as I can. Does that make sense? The job advertisement is giving you the roadmap. You got to pay attention to what you're reading. So now it's our goal to say, where am I going to put as much of this stuff as possible? Have no fear. There's always a place to put it. Even in the education, that is where you're going to, beef up that section because you have the experience, right? And I'm going to show you how to do that. And you can also put yours in the skills section and summary section. There's a lot of different places where you can talk about you have the skills, even if you don't have the experience, right? I'm going to put those keywords on my resume one place somewhere, right? That is your goal. So let's start at the top. Of course, with the heading, basic stuff, guys. They need to know who they're talking to. So you're going to have your full name, your phone number, your email address, and watch this. Don't put your home address. Put your geographic location. Do not put your home address on resumes. That is an old thing nowadays with, y'all know, with good comes bad, right? So there are people that still your identity, and it's not that somebody's going to show up at your house, right? Most thieves ain't got time for all that. What they're trying to do is to steal your identity. So if they can, as much personal information as you give someone, your phone number, your address, your email address, they try to use it to steal identity. So obviously, sometimes too, you could have people that want to do nefarious things. So they say, just don't put your home address. Just put like Orlando, Florida, Miami, Florida, Put your geographic location. But aside from that, everything else is the same. If you have a LinkedIn or any type of social media that you want them to go to, and when we start talking about promoting yourselves next week, you'll understand how critical that is. You're going to also put that in the heading. Now, once I get past the heading, what's next? This is a key section, especially for those of you that have your resume. This is one section that you may want to go back and adjust. You must have some type of summary. Some people call it a profile. Some people call it qualifications. Whatever you want to call it, at the top, you need to have some type of summary that gives employers a quick glance at what your qualifications are. Here is where you are going to put your core strengths and skills. It's going to be like 3 sentences at the most. Some people do 4. I say don't do more than 3. You want to at least have 2 or 3, where you're going to give them a brief summary of your experience. Now watch this. This is one place where you can include those core skills. Even if your summary talks about you transitioning into the electrical industry, the HVAC industry, with experience in A, B, and C. If you, with skills in A, B, and C. If you don't have the experience, you can say with skills in. This is where you can throw in some of those keywords. I want everybody to have a summary in their resume for this assignment. For this resume, if you have a resume, I want a profile at the top. I'll show you. Talk to your career services. They are working with you on writing your resume. We are going to use the summary section of our resume for 2 separate assignments. So I want a summary at the top of your resume. Again, you can call it a profile. You can call it a qualifications. I want it at the top. We understand? Now, let me tell you how you can use AI. I love AI. I teach AI. You can go to Google, and I'll show you in a minute. We're going to go on to the internet. You can go to Google and you can use their AI platform, and you can put in your resume if you don't have a summary, and you can say, write me a brief summary, and it will do it for you. Obviously, you're going to be working with career services. Everybody's career services is different. Some of your career services are going to help write it for you. Some of them are going to tell you, I don't know how y'all respective career services people work, but I'm telling you, if you have to do it yourself, that's a quick way to do it. And I'll show you how to do that. But put this down as one section that I can put my skills in, whether I have the experience or I got it from school, right? This brief summary. Now, the next section is your skills. You don't have to have a skills section, but if you don't have a lot of experience, put the skills section. Here is a second place, write down skills, that you can throw in both some hard and soft skills. These skills you got from the school, even if you didn't get them from working. Y'all see? So this is the second place you can put down skills, because just because I haven't done it before doesn't mean I don't know how to do it, right? So skills, typically you have, think of it like little bullet points. You can have 3 little bullet points on one side, 3 little bullet points on the other, and you can talk a little bit about the skills that you do have, whatever skills that you know are important to that company based on that job description. So if I'm in the VA program and I went to go work for a pet hospital, they may want certain skills that I got from school, so I'll put those down. But then if I also go to apply for a pet shelter and they're more into these other skills, that I may have to adjust my resume and put those skills down. You see how that works? Because you have both, but you are replying to that job description, right? It's a response. So make sure your resume makes sense to the job that you are responding to. Now, obviously, your education is going to be critical. You want to make sure that you put the school that you went to, the city and state of that school, and the year that you graduated. Companies want to see that because y'all would not believe that people lie about their education. And so now it's like they want you to see the school and the city and state in case they're like, I've never heard of Southern Tech. They're going to go Google it. Yes, people lie. Y'all know we have so many rules in life because of nefarious characters, right? So with that education, so important, put the school, the program, obviously, in the year that you graduated. Very, very important, right? That's another area where they're going to see that you have the requirements. Now, when it comes to your experience is going to be a brief little summary of the work that you've done. If you have done anything remotely related to what they want, let's say again, if you worked in some type of construction before, even though you're going up for an HVAC, exhaust all the keywords that you can from that resume. And then, obviously you want to put a brief description of what you've done. You don't have to spend too much time in the experience section if you don't have tons of experience with the work that they've done. But after you've exhausted every keyword that you can find that relates to the work that you have done. So with the experience section, with the most thing that I tell people when I write my resume from my experience is always written to where I give 1 or 2 sentences about the type of work that I've done. So let's say if I was teaching finance, I would say finance instructor, responsible for teaching corporate finance, including the weighted average cost of capital and blah, 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 blah. And then, so once I get that little description, obviously I put ABC company, Tampa, Florida, finance instructor. And then I give a brief description of what I taught. And then I always put at least 2 or 3 bullets to talk about how well I did that job. We call those PAR statements, problem, action, result. And so I may put 95% student success rate, 100% student satisfaction year over year, something that tells them how well I've done the job. One problem I see over and over again, people use their experience section like some type of laundry list. You don't tell people how well you've done the job. You just say, yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this, like it's a grocery list. No, you're supposed to give them a brief little description and then 1 or 2 bullet points. I said at least 2 or 3 that talks about how well you've done something. So where would you get that from? Well, sometimes you can get it from if you had like a performance evaluation, or if you know that you were supposed to, do very good at something, some job you've done before, even if it's just customer satisfaction, put little bullet points, 100% customer satisfaction rate for the past 3 quarters, something that lets them know how well you've done the job. Does that make sense? Brief description of the job, 2 or 3 bullets that talk about how well you've done it. That will set you apart from the competition. So many people don't do that on their resumes. And someone that has hired a lot of people and looked at more resumes than I would like to have seen, that is what separates you from other people. I promise you, right? Now, how do you structure your resume? So let's recap. I got my heading at the top. I got my my skills, my education, my experience. The most common type of resume that we all know about, we used to call it a chronological resume. Now they call it a timeline resume, which means that your first job is going to be the one you're at now, or the last one you had, then follow behind the one before that, and then follow behind the one before that. They call that chronological, starting with the most recent down to the latest, the earliest. They say that you don't have to go back more than 10 years. I say it depends upon if you stick more to 2 pages as opposed to years. Let's say right now you work in accounting, right? But let's say 12 years ago, you actually worked in construction. But if you've been working in accounting for the past 10 years, you're not just going to put accounting on your resume. That's going to look crazy. You got 2 pages, right? So as long as your resume is 2 pages, you can go back as long as you want if it's relevant, right? So I would put accounting, then I still would put that construction company and some stuff I did if it makes sense with the job description. Because what's more important with that resume is that you are responding to that advertisement, not making sure it looks pretty, not making sure I follow the 2-page rule. So don't always think about, what people say in terms of following the rules of the resume. Make sure that the resume is communicating to the person that's going to read it. Does that make sense? So that does mean sometimes, what if you did some work 15 years ago? If you had 5 jobs and maybe that you did that work, then what I would do, I would include, if I could get it on 2 pages. Now you don't want to go past 3 or 4 pages. Now I'll be honest, my resume is longer than 2 pages, but just because I'm ancient. But if you could stick to 2 pages, and sometimes some companies will say, hey, you cut this down to 2 pages, and I even have to adjust my resume sometimes. You want to just maybe minimize each work section, or try to, minimize the sections, so you can include that information that is from their resume, that's from that job advertisement. So I say use your discretion. There is no hard and fast rules. It's not like you're going to get a grade on your resume. These are just, I always call them industry standards. So when we talk about formatting for resumes, yes, you can have the chronological. It is the most common, but there's other types of both skills and timeline. Even in teaching, we use different resumes. We call them curriculum vitals because we talk specifically about our education. So I actually have 3 different resumes, one for finance, one for compliance and operations, and one for teaching. So I have to, I can't put all of that on one resume, right? Because a lot of it, they'll be like, what is this? So once you save your resume, one thing that you'll also notice in the job advertisements, they may say to you, make sure you send it to me via PDF. And that's because they're probably going to put it through that tracking system. And sometimes they don't want to have it in Word, and they open it up and then they manipulate it, by mistake, and they just don't want the drama. So pay attention. If it says put it in Word, put it in Word. Obviously, it's safety for you that nobody is, adjusting your resume by mistake or on purpose, right? Chapter 7 also talks about non-traditional resumes, but those are pretty much what LinkedIn is now, if you want to think about a web-based style resume. And we'll dig into that when we talk about resumes in week 3, and LinkedIn in week 3. So because if we go back to the top of the hour, I said that you have to change your resume a lot. Make sure you proofread, make sure you spell check. And a lot of it comes from having to change your resume a lot. If anybody's ever looked for a job, raise your hand if you've ever had to look for a job. And y'all know how we do. We all go through the same thing. We go through the same thing, looking at these job descriptions, finding 2 or 3, 4 or 5, having to adjust our resume, having to adjust our cover letter, and we make mistakes. I know it's not just me. I've sent the wrong resume and the wrong cover letter to the company. And I was like, okay, that's why I didn't get that job. I was like, why haven't I heard from these people? Can you believe that they were offended? They get offended, guys. You would think that they would understand. See, it's okay for them to get a lot of resumes, but goodness sakes, if you actually, make the mistake and let them see that you're applying for other jobs, not there's just theirs, they get offended. So make sure you proofread before you hit that button. All right. When it comes to professional references, they will, this is something that you would do on a separate sheet of paper. Most times it's 3 references, and very similar to your contact information. All a reference sheet is you'll have it at the top, your contact information, and then 3 different people, at least 3, most times it's 3, they'll ask for in this situation, you always want to put the person's professional information, the company they work for, and then make sure you ask them for their permission, the person that is going to be your reference. Hey, can I put your personal email or your work email, your personal number or your work number? Some people don't want you to use their company. Some people do only want you to use their company. So just make sure you're asking your reference, if you need one, what information that you can put here. All right. So what I'm going to do now is let's talk about your assignment. This is going to be very, very important. And I'm going to show you exactly what I want it to look like. Your assignment says that you are going to do some research. You are going to go to Indeed.com, LinkedIn, I don't care which one you use, some job board, and you are going to look for 3 job postings. How many does it say? 3. And you are looking for similar hard and soft skills. Similar. I want to see with the hard skills, at least 3 similar hard skills and at least 1 soft skill, because soft skills are harder. Some of them put them, some of them don't. Right? And you are going to turn that in. Let me show you what I want it to look like. So when you turn in your assignment, I want it to look very similar to this. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. I want you to say, Indeed search veterinary assistant. And you are going to send me the links of the 3 job postings that you found that had similar hard and soft skills. So you're going to say, I went to Indeed search. I searched for veterinary assistant. Here are the 3 ones I found. Here's what they have in common. Hard skills, 3. Well, all 3 of them wanted animal restraints. All 3 of them wanted prepare exam rooms. All 3 of them wanted me to have patient records. And they all wanted effective communication. Why are we doing this? I want you to get into the habit of reading the job description very carefully and looking for keywords. All right, so let me show you how you're going to do this. Because I know some people, just from a technical standpoint, may not have done it before. So I'm going to share my screen. I guess I did share, I don't know why. And I went to Indeed.com. And the only thing I've done, I've typed in veterinary assistant in Orlando. You're going to put it wherever you are. And I'm going to hit search. Now, if you notice on the left-hand side, we all have looked for jobs before, I presume. It identifies the jobs, right? What you can do, you can even just say Florida, because this is just for practice, right? I'm just going to put Florida so I can get 3 of them. Fairly easy, right? And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start to read the job description. The first one is always highlighted, and then it gives you the details on the right-hand side. So Vetco veterinary assistant, if I scroll down here, I'm going to read the job description. It always talks a little bit about who the company is at first, blah, 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 blah. And then it gets into the essential functions. This is what I'm paying attention to. And it says here that they want you to be able to perform these things. Must, now this is funny. Veterinary people, why would they put this at the top? Are they being sarcastic? Must love dogs and cats and people too. Why y'all think they put that? It's kind of like I said, how some people take jobs and they probably shouldn't have. Isn't that sad that they have to put that at the top? I guess that's a soft skill. Why do they put all these soft skills at the top? Look at this. Team player who thrives on supporting teams in a varied way. Must be educated. Well, where is the dog? Where is the pet stuff? Wait a minute. This is weird. Veterinary assistants. Have y'all ever seen anything like this before? Yeah, I'm upset by Rizzy. Back a few, I was trying to make me buy something. Let me go to another one. I don't know what's up with this veterinary. I don't even see any technical skills. Did y'all see any technical skills? Let me try another one. That was hilarious. Veterinary assistant. If I scroll down, full job description. All right, something that looks a little bit more normal. They want me to do what? Assist with patient care and treatment. Monitor hospitalized, y'all see it, maintain inventory, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to read this one. Now, I'm looking for 3 that want the similar things. But if I want to hold on to this one, let's say I'm going to use this one. You see right here, now, obviously this is mine, but I can actually copy this one, or actually, you know what? That's going to make me save it, but I want to copy it. Let's see. There used to be somewhere I could just hit copy, but let's see, is that it? No. Because this is going to make me save it. I don't want to save it. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Right here. You see where it says copy link? Y'all see that? I'm going to copy that link. And then I'm going to go to Word, or you can go to your assignment, but I would say just put it in Word. And I'm going to paste that link. Right? So I would copy that link and I would paste it, and it's going to look like that link thing that I showed you in the example, if I like that one. And then what I'm going to do, so I'm going to maybe even copy some of these examples. Now, this is my rough draft because I don't need to show Miss Taylor all of this, but then I'm going to go to this next one, okay, Petco. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to see, okay, what do they want? If they want something similar to that one, then I'll copy this one too. Y'all see what I'm doing? So you may have to look at a few of them. Now here, Indeed does do a little bit of the work for you. It says view 10 similar jobs from this employer, or I can go to this next one, look to see if they have similar things. Now, obviously, if you look for a veterinary assistant at a hospitals, and only veterinary assistants at hospitals, they're probably going to have similar things. So that's one way you can cut down on looking through them. Does that make sense? Same thing if I'm in welding or HVAC or electrical. If I put, I'm looking for electrician in new construction, then I'll probably get 3 similar ones, more so than just putting electrician and trying to look through them. Do y'all understand? That makes sense? So once you get your 3, then I want the assignment to look like the one I showed you. Now for your resume, like I was telling you guys, let's say you don't have that summary. I'm using, I like Google. Let me do Google real quick. Is it going to let me do it? No. I don't want to have to get off here, but I can use Copilot. Y'all see this chat box? I like Google because if you do Google, but it's not showing me the Google I want because I'm on, yeah, let me do Google right quick. So if I go to Google, I just like the easy use of Google. See, it's not, oh, this is so annoying. Normally on Google, if I'm on Google, it'll say use Google AI, but because I'm on Microsoft, I have to put their AI thing in there, which I don't like. Google AI mode. Oh my goodness. So annoying. This is because I'm not on Google. So let me do this right quick. I'm going to stop sharing this because I want you guys to see it. I don't want you to feel like it's harder than what it is, but because we don't use the school use Microsoft. So give me 1 second because I do want to show you what I'm talking about. I'm just going to pull up my Google Chrome really quick. Oh, I thought it was really quick. Now my computer's going slow. Can you put yourself on mute because we can hear you, Alexis? Mute everybody. Okay. So let me pull up Google real quick. Sorry, my computer's just slow. All right. So let me share my screen again. I use two different computers, and the computer I use here is a little older. All right. So if you use Google, the reason why I like Google, you see right here how it has AI mode. You don't have to search all over the place like when you're using Microsoft, and you can just hit AI mode. And then what you can do is, you see this plus sign right here? You can actually do this plus sign. You can upload a file and you can upload your resume, right? And then once you upload your resume, you can tell it what you want it to do. You can say, please write a summary section for this resume. And it will literally write a summary section for your resume. Because I don't want you guys to get like anxiety over trying to do it if you haven't done it. Does that make sense? Yeah? Any questions on that? I know some of y'all like, you could have just told us that, but I wanted to show some people need to see it. So I want to make sure everybody saw it. All right. So let's go back to your question for today. So our question for today, keeping with our theme, like I said, it's all about you. It's all about you. I want you to think, what are 3 different things I learned about resumes? If you haven't learned anything in this class, I apologize, but you can always get it from chapter 7 as well. So 3 things the teacher told me, whatever, searching for resumes, whatever, or 3 things from chapter 7, which is mostly what I taught you about today, but all right. My friends, please remember, we do not have class tomorrow, but class is open all week. Try to turn in everything by this Sunday. All your grades will be in for this week by this Sunday. You guys did an amazing first week. Congratulations, guys. I know some of y'all had the jitters about doing the online. Y'all feel good now? I told you was going to be a pro with this online stuff by the end of the week. I told you it's going to be a pro. Everybody feel good? All right, y'all. I will see you on Monday. I will see you on Monday. Uh-oh, what did I just do? We'll be back together again on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.